All right, and last part here is writing an equation from a graph. Again, this is also on page 541. This is example 3. And just above example 3, you'll see in the book an explanation of a new form of writing the equation for a line. This is point slope form. And we're just going to briefly look at this. You'll see this in more detail in Algebra 1. So this is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where the slope is m, again, and then x1, this x with a small subscript 1, y1 are any point on the graph. In this case, it's a little different because it doesn't have to be the y-intercept. And so you'll see our example here, find the slope, and then use the slope and a point to write an equation. Now we'll look through this example quickly, but what I really want you to be able to do is use a point, specifically the y-intercept and the slope. So we'll just briefly go through this, but keep in mind, this is just a preview of something for Algebra 1. Okay. So we look at this and we say, what is the slope of the line? Well, we've already learned how to find the slope. We find the change in y over the change in x. Remember, that's the same as the rise over the run when we're looking at the graph. And so in this particular example in the book, we see there's a point at -2, 1 and +3, -3. So those are our points, -2, 1 and +3, -3. And if you use a pencil or your finger, you would count and say that the slope from first point, as we move from left to right, we go down 4 units, and to the right, 5 units. Now we would take a second and say, can I simplify this? Nope, -4/5 is simplified enough. And then we could use either of these 2 points to write the equation of the line. So using the point 3, -3 in this example, I would plug in, so using this formula above, y and x stay put in the equation, and we replace y1, m, and x1. So y stays the same, y, minus y1 is the y value of the point. So if I'm using this point right here, this is x1 and y1. y1 is -3, so I put that in parentheses. Y minus a negative, we're going to look at that in a little bit, can be simplified, equals the slope. Well, we already calculated our slope was -4/5 times parentheses, x stays the same, minus x1. And here's our x1 value is 3. Last thing we can do is just to simplify just a couple things. In this case, it's just this minus a negative. Remember, when we subtract a negative, we can add the opposite. Y plus 3 equals -4/5 times x minus 3. And you can leave it in this form. Again, in Algebra 1, looking ahead, you'll spend some time rewriting this in slope-intercept form so that we can graph it. But this is an equation, it's just a different form of the equation. More important to me is that you know how to take the y-intercept and the slope and write an equation from that. This concludes our videos. Please feel free to use those Khan Academy lessons and practice as extra. That is optional. And then practice for this lesson is on RenWeb. You can check that assignment for 11.6. Feel free to refer to any of these 3 video lessons as you work, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys.